Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Vacuum Exposition, and a special one at that this week. Now, before we get into it, I have talked about this a little bit already in the past few videos, but I promise this will be the last time I mention it unless I get something new put up. But I am currently selling slowly some of my duplicates in my collection, between the machines that I've got from the collection of the late Jason Huber, to the machines that I brought back from my good friend Jared. He has been getting rid of some stuff, so I've gotten some things that I used to own. So in between that, as well as some other stuff I've gotten from my good friend Mitchell, I have acquired a lot of machines and a lot of duplicates lately. So right now I am working on going through and evaluating a lot of those and figuring out what needs to go or what needs to stay. Of course, a lot of the stuff that I'm getting from um, certain friends like Jared, that stuff's staying, but I do have to figure out what I'm doing with all the duplicates still. So I have been selling a lot of them, and I will, of course, include my eBay listing at the bottom in the description. So if you are interested in owning a piece of the Constellation Carl Vacuum Cleaner Museum, as well as collection, that is where they will be available for purchase. So also, I do not conduct business in public, so any deals or offers will need to be kept to eBay or in private. So if you find me on Facebook or something. So, and just to reiterate, for the month, as well as the next couple months, um, being as that I love to do series, but I've done several over the past couple of months, and I am a little bit burned out on it. So it takes a lot of work to get an entire set of something together. So I have been taking a break and just kind of showing you guys maybe recent acquisitions or just stuff that I feel needs to have a video made of it. So today, no different. We'll get on to that in a bit, but probably the next series I do will be in May, I'm thinking. Don't know what it's going to be yet, but that is my birthday month, so I do like to do something different. But anyways, let's get on to the video for today and take a look at another really special vacuum. All right, everybody. So we have got an older machine to take a look at today. One that is actually quite special. One that has entered my collection recently. And it is actually one that I have wanted for a very, very long time. But, well, the opportunity just hadn't presented itself, or I just really hadn't found the right one in particular. So, what are we looking at today? So, obviously, it's a canister, because it is, but it is one not from the United States. So, without further ado, what we have here is about a 1949 to 1951 Electrolux ZB55. Now, the ZB55 was not offered here in the United States. Instead, it was a Canada only, made and manufactured in Electrolux of Canada, and they had several models that looked kind of similar to this, as well as another model of the ZB55 that had minor differences like trim or a couple things like that, but overall the same color. Now, the ZB55 came out at a time around when in the United States we had models like the Model 20 or Model 30 Electrolux. The Model 30 Electrolux being probably the most common Electrolux made, at least in the United States. They looked very, very similar, albeit this one has some pretty big differences, though. Now, overall, it looks very much the same as a Model 30, and I'll show a picture of a Model 30 right here. As you can see, if you didn't know it or whatnot, you just think that this was somewhere around that timeline. It was, um, but we had changes that, well, were quite a bit different from Canada in their vacuum cleaners. Now, all Electroluxes during this amount of time period, well, they consisted of just this: a vacuum on sled runners like this that was um, built with the motor in the back, with the switch right above the motor, as well as a handle right on the top of the machine with an opening front cover right here. Now, the Model 30, as you probably could see, had a polished aluminum or even a steel front end of it, depending on which era of it you found. Most of the time they were polished, but they did have, in the later years, a painted front and back cover. The ZB55, at least from what I can tell from my research, um, actually had what looks to be Bakelite front and rear pieces. Um, Now, I don't know a ton about these machines. My good friend Doug, whom I got this from, knows a lot about them, but the front cover as well as the back housing, as you can see, are black. Now, usually speaking, this is Bakelite or maybe a form of vulcanized rubber like Kirby wheels of the same era, but this looks to be Bakelite. It was a hard plastic type substitute during the mid to late 40s into the 50s. Kind of was more popular during the war effort, just to kind of conserve materials. But the Canadian one, like I said, had a front cover that was made of that stuff, where we still kind of had aluminum or other such things. Now, just like most Electroluxes of this era, we also saw the reusable dump bag. I talked about this with that Kenmore a couple of weeks ago. Um, Now, this is quite a long one. Normally, at least with the Model 30s, they maybe came about right here, but essentially what you'd do is you'd go vacuuming, and then once this was full or to a point where you weren't going to use the vacuum again, you just simply take this, dump it, and then thus you were all set and back in business. Now, later renditions of Electrolux products did have things that would stop you from turning the machine on with like button sensors or something like that. This machine is a bit older, so technically you could turn the machine on just like it is right now and just have suction from there. Wouldn't recommend it though, but interesting little fact there. So I'm going to go ahead and clip the front cover back on. It has actually some spring clips, which are a bit different than what we got on the Model 30 here. So the Model 30, we had a large lever on the front that you would pull and it would unlatch it. But interesting all the same. One thing I find particularly interesting about this on the side here, the molding that has Electrolux on it, it's got all this art decoing on it with the designs and everything. Now, we had similar designing on the Model 30. However, this is all cast, where the Model 30 was a thin tin or aluminum cutout over a painted red area to kind of give it that 3D type of look, I think. But this is all cast. So this piece right here, this aluminum, is one piece rather than two pieces or, a hollowed out piece. So very, very interesting. Another key factor is this alligator skinned type leatherette, as they would call them. Essentially, you have a metal tube underneath this, and then for styling, of course, you would have this, well, what seems to be alligator-esque looking leatherette or vinyl leatherette that would go over the top of the machine. Now, the Model 30 here in the United States, they had something kind of similar, but it wasn't quite as animal looking, reptilian looking. But I absolutely love this look. I'd never seen anything like it. I sure don't have anything like it in my collection. So, of course, we'll move it along on the sleds here, all the way to the back. Now, just looking at the back, this rear piece is, of course, how you would stand it up. And then right here at the back, this is how you would remove the back, I guess you would say, foot this would stand on. As you would take that off, that would give you exposure to the back of the motor, which essentially was the blower or exhaust. Um, and with utilizing that, you could use the sprayer attachment, which is actually right here in the box. We'll take a look at that in a minute. But like I said, we do have that Bakelite rear piece. And then, of course, you would have had your plug or, well, socket where your cord and plug would go into. The cord is behind there. We'll take a look at that in a minute. But it is a really, really cool machine. I like have always wanted more of the Canadian Electroluxes just because they were different enough from ours that we never saw them here. It wasn't until I met Doug for the first time back when I was quite a bit younger and quite a bit more hair. When he actually brought me my very first Canadian Electrolux, a Model 89. And we'll take a look at that at a later date because I absolutely love that machine. But this one, either way, is a really, really cool machine. Now, it is, I want to say, about 90% complete. I say that because it has almost all the attachments. So, as you can see right here, I'll move this back a little bit. We have our attachment carrying case. Now, just kind of stashed right here is the original manual, which is so, so cool. I mean, where our manuals here in the United States, very nice too, but this is like kind of embossed, so like it almost gives it a 3D look. So I really like that. Now, of course, this has all of your index and how to use it, your list of attachments and all that great stuff, which is, of course, with all of this, how to use it, as well as pictures using it. All the way to the back, which I thought was one thing that was really, really cool. Tips on how to store it or using the blower feature. But we get all the way to the back. We see the list of additional accessories that you can get for it. But it gives you pictures of the actual Canadian Electrolux factory. Some manuals over time did do this. They include pictures of their factories and stuff like that. But just seeing it, I haven't seen these pictures before. So, getting a chance to get an up close look at them, really, really, really cool. So, very, very neat to see that. One additional piece in here in the manual that Doug included was the actual guarantee. So this was your guarantee from that time period, which I think is just absolutely cool. I love to see all the pieces of paper and everything that came with it. So that is our manual. Of course, we did have an upholstery tool. We've kind of talked about these. I know it's kind of hard to see with the background, but this is the upholstery tool. Of course, noticing that Art Deco veining on top of it. Very cool. We have, of course, our horsehair bristle dusting brush. Most Electroluxes of the time did come with something along this lines, but it was definitely very cool to see the original one in here. Of course, we'll get to kind of the meat and potatoes of these bigger attachments. This is our floor tool. This was a famous Electrolux floor tool that they came out with. So many machines came with, all the way from the Model 30 and on until probably we got into later in the late 50s, early 60s. But very nice and very, very, very nice condition. And then last but certainly not least, we have our bare floor tool. So this has a brush on it, so you can do, your vinyl tiling or hardwoods or stuff like that. It's soft, so it doesn't damage it. And of course, it has that Electrolux logo right there in the middle with that veining again, like I talked about. So that was all the attachments that I got with it. It is missing its crevice tool and I believe the blower attachment. There's a kind of I believe a Bakelite kind of attachment that you can get that goes on the back of it that clicks on. You can put like scent powder and stuff like that in it so that you're, as you're vacuuming, you blow good smelling scent. So make your house smell nice. But that was one of them. Now, getting back to the sprayer I was talking about, this did also come with it. What you would have done with this is you would have put your different scent crystals or moth crystals, and then put them in the jar, and then attach this to the end of the hose to the blower, and then blown this over your assorted garments in the closet to protect them from moths, to make sure that moths didn't eat them. This, of course, was during that time period where moths were a heck of a prevalent thing throughout everywhere, so we all had to try to keep them at bay with moth crystals. Now, moving on, we do have the cord for it. I don't know if this is the original cord or not. It does appear to be the original plug that goes to the machine, but I'm guessing this may be a replacement plug on it. Still pretty cool, made in Mexico plug. Never seen one like this, but still pretty awesome. And of course, we have our extension wands. These beautiful aluminum pieces right here. So that will be used quite a bit. And last but not least, we have our hose, which I believe this is the original hose based on what I've read on Doug's website about them, as well as what I've heard from him about them. It is really, really cool. With these old woven hoses, they generally aren't the greatest on suction because they do, they just open up over time. And you can kind of even see the ribbing right here. Either way, it is in fantastic shape all the same. And just like all Electrolux canisters that are different than ours, it actually has kind of like almost like you would with a ratchet, like a wrench. It has like a ball normally to hold the socket on, where it's very similar with this. It has a series of bearings that you kind of pull down this collar, and that releases the hose from it. So very, very interesting design. Kind of wish we had it here, honestly. So that is everything that I got with this fantastic machine. Of course, this was one that me and Doug had made a trade on. He wanted a particular machine and had this one for a while, kind of saved for me until we figured out a deal on it. And thankfully, we made a good trade, and I got to send his out in the mail. But I'm certainly happy to get this, as well as some other cool stuff that he included that I needed for some of my other machines. So, but it definitely is an awesome, awesome machine, and I really can't wait to fire it up and go across the floor with it. And of course, showing you guys all the same. So, well, let's get on to our run demo for today, and we'll see how the old ZB55 does on the carpet. All right, everybody, so we have the 1949 through 51 Electrolux ZB55 all plugged in and ready to go. I am going to go ahead and use our floor tool to do the carpets up down here. Now, one big thing about these machines, the reason why they were so popular, was their noise level, essentially. These things are incredibly quiet, and I don't think I'm going to have to lower the volume on the video today very much, just because of that. So without further ado, let's get on to it, see how this thing does. Well, friends, the 1949 to 51-ish Electrolux ZB55 did a great job. I mean, it doesn't have agitation or anything like that, so we can't really, judge it up against something with a beater bar or a brush roll. But for what it is, for the time period that it was offered, this thing did fantastic. And I know that I could use this
anywhere in my house with the floor tool and get a better result than something with a rotating brush on the same floor. Now, in carpet, we've got a different conversation, really, but either way, this is a very fantastic little machine. And no wonder they were so popular in Canada. I totally can see it. The lack of noise or anything like that, well, that's just special in and of itself. So I can definitely appreciate this little machine. I love machines from this era just because you do see stuff like that. It's just very simple, very easy, very quiet. Does the job. No frills, no thrills, but very cool and very much appreciated. So I hope you all enjoyed our little run demo for today.
Well, everybody, we have come to the end of another one today. This was such a fun one to shoot today, and I was really hoping to get this video done for you guys. I just got this in the mail, so I was super eager to get this video out to you. Um, Now, this is a really interesting and very rare machine here in the United States, so I'm very proud to have it in my collection. I have a substantial amount of Canadian machines at this point, not just Electrolux, but some Hoover stuff, some Eureka stuff. Like it, I've got quite a little display right now, so it's certainly interesting to be able to bring this kind of stuff to you guys. Same with the Japanese stuff, or I've got a German one that we're going to take a look at soon too. But it's certainly fun to be able to get these out, not just for me, but I love to show you guys them because they're just such interesting pieces of machinery, and pretty important to history, regardless of where they were or where they came from, where they were made. So, but of course, we will continue to look at stuff like this, and continue to document the history. So, but anywho, I hope you all enjoyed our little video for today. I, of course, had a blast. But anyways, you all have Anyways, you all have a great rest of your weekend as well as a fantastic next week. And we will catch you again, same time, same place, same guy, different vacuum or vacuums. And we'll see you again next time. Have a great rest of your day, y'all.